Matt and I are out early this morning, hopefully mowing the yard for the very last time. That's exciting. Matt's mowed it most of the time this year. I've not helped him as much as I usually do now that he's not working full time, but he's hoping this will be the last time. That has been one of the benefits, I guess, if you will, of the really dry summer that we had. The grass has not grew like it normally does, so there's not been near as much weed eating nor near as much mowing. Well, we got it done. Looks much better. I'd even told Matt this morning that why don't we just leave it? It probably will be the last time we mowed it, so that last little bit could just stay there over winter, but he said no, he wanted to do it. I'm glad we did now because it does look a lot better. A lot less weedy, and it does make the things that we still have growing, the flowers over here under the window and then those behind me, all the nasturtium does make them look a lot better. So now I don't know what we're going to do next. While I was weed eating, I couldn't resist thinking about this bed here that I put for I put it there for the strawberries. Matt got it for me for Christmas, and that was where we was going to put some of the strawberries. They all promptly died, so they don't have any strawberries in it, don't have nothing in it. So while I was looking at it, I'm really tempted to go get some lettuce and some kale maybe and plant in it. The only reason I'm hesitating is last year I did that. I planted a lot of our fall things back here, and then I should have known better. I just wasn't thinking. I planted them, in August, end of August or whenever it was. Well, by this time, the sun has already moved where it travels during the day, and this part gets less and less sun. So I'm thinking I really want to just fill that bed because there's nothing in it, but then I think, Tipper, there's probably not enough sunshine. Here comes Matt. He can be the voice of reason with what I want to do. Could go up in the front, definitely. That's where the most sunshine, where we get the most sunshine any time of the year, in the winter or in the summer. So maybe that's what I should do. It's just that bed's sitting there all nice and fixed up, and it's just begging me to put something in it. Matt's being the voice of reason, tell me there's not enough sunshine back here, and he also took out his handkerchief and handed it to me because he said I had stuff all over my face. Sorry about that, but that's when weed eating, especially if it's, am I getting it, Matt? You have to be my mirror. No? Some of it. When you're weed eating, when it's wet, even when you weed eat when it's dry, you get stuff on you, but when you're wet, it's wet, you really do. It really gets thrown around on you. I guess I could look at my shirt. It's all over me everywhere. Anyway, Matt was the voice of reason, says that there's not enough sunshine back here. I shouldn't plant anything back here. I have the same problem I did last year. So we could certainly go up there in the front. Matt could till me up a place, and we already have some fall things growing. We have some mustard greens on the bank. We have some kale, and we have the turnips. But I'd really love to plant some radishes and maybe some more kale or some kind of lettuce or something like that. I wish I had some little onion buttons, but I don't, to plant them. Don't have none of them, do we? Anyway, so he could do that, and there's these undone, what do you call them? The towers? Green stalks. I'm thinking green towers and thinking that's not right. Okay, green stalks. This one that's took apart earlier in the summer, I decided I was going to get rid of one of them and just keep that one because I've just decided I'm not as pleased with them as I thought I was. I was going to give it to Corey so she could take it down to her house and plant flowers in it or whatever she wanted to. Well, we undone it and set it there, and that's as far as it's made it. It's just right there. So I told Matt we could get it down in front of the house, leave it undone like that, planting the top of it, and then that way we'd be one step closer to actually getting it to Corey's. So I don't know, Matt, what do you think we should do?
That's fine, yeah.
Either one's fine with you? Would you like to plant some, I don't even know if today's a good day to plant or not, but I ain't even looked at the calendar, but plant some radishes and some lettuce and stuff, maybe. Kale, just a little bit. Matt's about to pull up our dead apple tree, I think. Yep, there it went. Snapped right off. It's totally dead. Yep, dead through and through. So no more apple tree. It was the one that was right here it was a little bit taller than me. It wasn't now because we had cut we knew it was dying. We'd cut it way back to see if anything come back out, but it didn't. So Matt's pulled it up. It's gone now. We don't have good luck with apple trees. Now our one big tall one there, we've had it many, many years. And we had another one just about like it on the other side and almost that big, maybe not hardly. You see we've got apples we need to get. But it finally died too. They die, something gets inside them and it's from the inside, so they rot from the inside. You don't really notice it on the outside, but that other one, when we thought it was dying, you know, and thought it wasn't looking that great, Matt went over there and just kind of barely pushed on it and it just fell over because the inside of it was rotted. So I don't know if it's because we don't get enough sunshine or if it's just something about this soil right here or something in the soil that the trees, apple trees, just don't like at all. Do they, Matt?
No.
So we don't have good luck with that. Okay, well, what do you think? You're up to carrying those things down there and we'd be that much closer to getting them to Corey?
Yeah.
Okay. Just set them beside it, I guess, and that way we'll know when we take it to Corey to take them. She won't need them till next year anyway. She didn't hardly get to do any gardening this year, of course, because of the being pregnant and then the wonderful little sweet woodrow coming. So Matt picked out that place. He said they'll get the most sunshine there. I'm really tempted now that I'm going to have to go in and find my seeds, and that's not going to plant very much, of course. I'm just in the mood and I can't resist planting, hoping for the future, I guess. This one row in between the carrots here, how many times, Matt, did we plant that row?
2 or 3.
I think even maybe more than that. The first thing we planted in it grew was radishes. They grew, but they didn't make nothing, no radishes. Then I planted flowers twice, and then I planted kale. So yeah, 4 times this summer that part's been planted. The flowers all died because it was too dry. The kale died. Wouldn't have planted the kale, but that day that we were going to plant the fall things like the mustard and the turnips, I said, well, let me try it one more time. Let's plant it, and maybe the weather has changed for the better. Well, then it got dry again, and we did water it, and the kale kind of come up and then died.
Binks pulled up some of the flowers.
Oh, yeah, and Binks, I forgot about that. I thought you was going to say kale. I was going to say, did he really? But I remember he pulled up my flowers, yeah. Because some of the flowers I planted, I even the second time we went to Satterfield's, I bought marigolds. Those in the back are amazing. The ones I planted up here, it was just too hot. Or I don't know, too dry. I don't know what the difference was. Maybe we were better stewards about watering those back there. Anyway, but yes, I remember now Binks pulled up some of my marigolds. Because I even thought, well, I'll get live plants and plant there. So one way I'm like, I'm just not planting there. But then part of me, I guess the stubborn part's like, no, I'm going to plant it one more time and see if anything happens. Anyway, let me go in and pile through my seeds. Here, speak of the devil, there is Binky now. I'll go in and see what kind of spring or cold hardy things I can find, and we'll come back out and plant them. Well, I went in looking through my seeds and of course brought out way too much, I'm sure. But I got some radishes. I got some more kale, the blue curled scotch. I really like that. I just got some butter crunch lettuce, rutabagas. I might as well try again, right? I've never managed to grow them. I got this, I've grew this before, but it's been a long time, but it's miner's lettuce. Grows wild in a lot of places, but it's like one of the ones that can stand the cold more than anything. Kale stands it for us, though, where we're at, but thought I might plant that. This is just some lettuce, salad bowl green. I planted that, I remember if it's last fall or the fall before, and it did good during the winter. And then I've grew this one time before and we liked it, and then I never grew it again, but it's corn salad, lamb's lettuce. So I thought I might plant a few of those. And then this is from Lisa Beasley in Birmingham, Alabama. She sent me, we usually don't grow collards, but she had sent these, so I think maybe I'll put, this is just a very few seeds, maybe I'll put one of those little things full of collards. Matt did go ahead and fix them for me, turn them over, and then I took the hoe and just did this row that, hasn't grew anything, but I'm going to try it again. I guess I'll put some radishes in it, and then maybe I'll put some of these other things in those green stalk, I don't know, what do you call them, bowls, containers, green stalk parts.
Yeah.
I'm going to put some of those in that. One packet of the radishes did it, so I won't even open the other one. Save it for next year. Well, I'm about to run out of containers, ain't I? I want to do the... May get Matt to, if I want to do them all, I'll have to get him. Maybe I won't do the rutabagas. I'm going to do the corn salad. Now, what do I put in the last one? Okay, I've talked myself out of the rutabagas. Butter crunch or salad bowl. I guess I could do both. One in one side and one in the other. Maybe I'll do that. While we're up here in this part, I think I'm going to pull up a few carrots. Matt, will you get me a basket or something to put them in? Please. And thank you. The sugar on top. Beautiful carrots. Some little bitty ones. That one kind of had two wrapped around it, one growing around the other. Broke that one off. I can never get it out. Broke it off again. I'll pull this big one. One I broke off down in there. And Ira come to oversee. Hey, Ira. Hey, Smiley. Got you some carrots. Mama can mash up if she wants to and feed you.
Yeah.
You gonna pull this other row?
I don't think so. You think we'll just get a little at a time? A lot of people have told me that they're sweeter after they frost, but we need to eat some of them, but.
I'll just pull a few of them now.
Yeah. You help me get
We'll
this
test
one.
it.
This one that I got way down in there. See it?
I'm surprised Binks isn't here to oversee.
Well,
He has been.
He's been out here. Oh, there's a little bitty. Here's your little baby one.
Oh, you want that, Ira? Want your little carrot?
Yeah. You want some mashy carrots?
That sounds good.
You have to get Matt to get his Leatherman after the one. I wasn't much of one, but I didn't want to leave it.
What you doing with them green stalks down here? What you gonna do with them?
We moved the green stalks down here, and we planted some lettuces, some greens in them. And I said this way they're that much closer. I'm going to give them to Corey, and we've not managed to get them to her all summer, but they're a little bit closer, and then now we're using them for the food. So hopefully they'll grow. It's awful late to plant them, but we're trying it. We're at the bottom of the barrel for the popsicles. That one's kind of wonky. The other one was worse than that, so I need to buy you some more grape. Popsicle weather's about gone, I guess.
Much cooler today.
It is much cooler today.
I like it. Still supposed to get hot in the afternoon though.
I've not even took my jacket off the whole time.
Gosh, that's good. I'm hungry.
The yard looks better.
Maybe that'll do it.
Be the last time probably this year.
I hope.
You hadn't had to do it as much this year with no rain.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if those things we planted will do any good or not, but I just couldn't resist. I just felt like I needed to plant them, so we planted them. Maybe they will. I am glad Matt made me put them up there, or not made me, but encouraged me to put them up there instead of back here.
We'll get a little more sun over there.
Because this is, what, an hour later, hour and a half later or something, and the sun's still not hitting that part where I was thinking about planting them. This time of the year, the sun's already getting lower and lower behind the ridge behind us, so it doesn't hit. There's a lot of areas back here it doesn't hit at all.
When it gets on into
In
the
the
winter,
winter.
it won't hit here any.
A lot of people ask us why we don't plant in the greenhouse. That's why. That's poor planning on mine and Matt's part. When we first built the greenhouse, we thought all we were concerned about was starting our tomatoes in it and peppers and those kind of things. So we didn't even think about the possibility of actually being able to grow in it in the winter. But I don't think there's anywhere up here we could have really put it where it would have worked. So in the long run, we weren't thinking about it, but it wouldn't have done us any good if we had. We just don't have enough room to where the sun would have actually hit it. Unless we could have maybe put it up there in the front, but then that would have took our prime gardening area. So
Put it in the driveway and just drive around
drive around it. Could put it somewhere down at the big garden. Put one down there somewhere. But again, that would take up our prime corn growing. We hadn't really talked about the barn that Matt needs to build, pole barn. The last time we did talk about it, we'd said that we were going to put it down there, we thought, in the big garden at one end. But since then, Matt's changed his mind, and we're actually going to put it up here. And that's like #1 priority to get done this winter, so you'll be hearing more about that. But after, even as dry as this summer was, the area where Matt had thought about putting it down there so that it would kind of be out of the way, there's like a wet weather spring, and even this summer it stayed wet there.
Yeah.
So
End up driving the tractor in now there, it's just going to make a big mess right now in Corey's yard, and I don't want to do that.
So
We could build it on the other end of it and put it in the garden, but we'd lose a little space, gardening space. And we can still do that. And just lose a little space.
well, I don't know. It's up to you.
But the good thing about putting it over here where I'm thinking about putting it is there's already power there.
And it would be, we could put, of course, the tractor is the main thing, but we could also put, and it'd be handy close by. 4-wheeler, lawnmowers, all that would be handy close by. But also some of our wood, so stacks of wood.
Only years ago when we built the house, when we put the water line in and the power to the well is down there where I'm going to build this. Put a extra wire in the ground from the breaker box all the way out there, and it's just coiled up inside the well house. Been there all this time, and just in case, if you ever wanted to do something like that, the power line's already there. So
that's great.
Never done anything with it, so it's there. I can get a hold of it there and at least have lights and plugs. And actually, barn is a little bit of a overstatement for what this is going to be. It's going to be mostly a shed. I'd like to have a barn, but we ain't got the room to do it.
Yeah. Well, that was smart thinking all those years ago.
Also plumbed the basement for a bathroom back then.
Yeah.
That never got built, and at this point, I guess it never will.
Never will. Oftentimes, that rarely happens where you plan ahead, or for us, where you think, I was pretty smart to do that. Usually I'm like, why didn't we think of that? Why didn't we think of that all those years ago? You can probably hear the crickets. They're a constant chorus now.
Their time is short. I'll be glad when the bees' time's short. I got bee stung the other day.
Bees have been after me.
Made it all summer long and then get bee stung the last day of September.
I was looking at my phone. Of course, there's a lot of on our mind when we're filming this. The day we're filming this, what day is today, Matt? Today's Thursday.
Yeah.
So you won't see this till Sunday night, but and even Sunday night, our mind's still going to be on all the victims of the storms. But today, I thought we could share a little bit more news. Now, it may be outdated by the time Sunday night gets here, but I will talk about this, I'm sure, again in my live on Monday, the following day after you see this. But Matt was able to talk to Papa Tony again this morning, and he was actually going to go to work even.
Yeah, he was going to, and he couldn't exactly get to the job site for the debris and the cleanup. I mean, he could get there, but he couldn't park in close enough proximity to get his tools and everything to where he was going to work, and he didn't want to carry them all. And at his age, I don't blame him.
Yeah. So he's, how old is he?
He'll be 81 this year, and he's still working.
Yeah, still. He's an electrician, which he will be in high demand
Oh, yeah.
eventually. He already is, stays busy, but he was an electrician for many years for Champion, for the paper company, and then retired and then started his own little business. But anyway, so they're okay, and we heard from Katie's been mostly talking to Aunt Wanda and Uncle Sam and giving us updates from them. They're okay, and they finally got their power back. Papa got his power back.
And he actually called me from home. He had to go out in the yard to get any signal, but it has been a couple of times I've talked to him prior to that, he's had to drive a pretty good distance from home to get any signal. And now he was actually able to call from the yard.
Which was good. Big improvement. Yeah, big improvement. One of Papa Tony and Uncle Sam's brothers, he lives in Spruce Pine, and he's on dialysis. So then that was an issue. You know, how does that Spruce Pine was hit really bad too? How does that work? And it just shows the power of people working all over the place in different ways. Sam and Wanda's godson, Randall, he lives in Las Vegas now, and he got aware of that problem, and so from out there he was able to coordinate and figure out, because of course their power and their cell signal and all that's just like ours was, and like Papa Tony's was, non-existent. So he was able to figure out a place that could help him, and then finally people, like Matt said, are driving to places where they can call or text, and so the communication, anyway, they figured it because Randall was able to get him to a place where he could have the dialysis. So that was that was really good, and I know that's affecting lots of people though.
Yeah.
People on dialysis or oxygen or all those kind of health things that you have to have. And treatments for different various things, infusions, some people have those and they have to go, you know, once every week or once every 2 weeks or something. And so many hospitals, you know, I've been focusing just on the people, but then think about the hospitals in the middle of those places. There was one hospital, where was that at, do you remember? It was totally flooded. It was like a small hospital, and they had to rescue people off the roof.
That was in Tennessee.
In Tennessee, yeah. But someone this morning on my blog on Blind Pig and the Acorn left a comment about Memorial Mission Hospital in Asheville, about the things that they had been dealing with, and they've been having a hard time. So, which makes sense. They're right there in the center of that. So they're trying to, I'm sure, service more people who are coming to them who are in need, but then they're struggling with their own issues, water and different things like that. So just still so much destruction. And thinking about the power being off. Also on my blog, I was going to read you this, or I'll leave this in the description below, but there was a comment from Don Cassida. Let's see if I can find it this morning. So he was saying that there was a website. Of course, if you don't have internet or don't have power, it's not going to help you, but you could go to, I'll put that in the description below. I didn't even know about it. It says you can click on an individual state, then once more at the individual county level. As of this moment, the numbers of customers out of power are, and again, this is Thursday, you'll see this on Sunday, but South Carolina, 390,681, North Carolina, 307,612, Georgia, 259,460, Virginia, 24,338, Florida, 21,587, West Virginia, 7,724. And Don goes on to say there are some counties which are still almost completely without power. In Mitchell County, North Carolina, 11,000 out of 12,000, and he says he's rounding there, but customers have no power, so almost all of them, at least from the grid, you know, unless they have some form of off-grid stuff. In neighboring Yancey County, 12,000 out of 15,000 are without power. In more populous Buncombe, it's 93,000 out of 159,000. And in Henderson County, south of Buncombe, it's 50,000 out of 69,000. That's just, I mean, you just can't hardly believe it. You just can't hardly believe it.
It's amazing that those power crews, once they are able to get up and going, it's amazing how quickly they work. I guess they work around the clock, and they do a good job.
They are dedicated. And,
they get it. I'm surprised they get it back up as fast and going as fast as they do.
And they've been coming from all over.
Right.
I know ours from here, which is not a far trip for them to go to Haywood or Buncombe County. But a lot of you have told me that you've sent people from your area of Texas, New Hampshire, Canada, lots of different places out east in the state. And so there's lots of people working on it, but there's just such a tremendous amount of damage. Tremendous amount of damage.
A lot of long days and nights and a lot of dangerous work.
Some of the, our friend I keep talking about, Jeff and Jill, I talked to Jill earlier this morning, and Jeff he's working with the state, not with the power company, but they had been stationed, like set up in Silva, but they were actually working in Hendersonville, And then that's not a real long drive, but still a drive. And so she had told me this morning they finally are now stationed there. And one of the problems they had run into, I shared this, was that, there's not much food for the people in need. But then if you're a worker, there wasn't much food for you either. So wherever they're at now, they've got them. They're going to provide them 3 meals a day, which is wonderful. And kind of a better situation, it sounded like. And she was even able to FaceTime him last night. So that's wonderful news for them, because if you're working those real long hours, like Matt said, you definitely need a place to rest and food to fuel your body. You don't get the weak trembles and not be able to make it right. Be no help to nobody.
Right.
A lot of our friends on here and from the Blind Pig and the Acorn are still without power. Two come to mind is Randy in South Carolina. He's still without power. And then Ed Ammons, Papaw, he comments a lot on our YouTube videos. He's still without power. And he's more in the area, he's in North Carolina, but not in western North Carolina, but not down in the southern. He's more in the northern part, but near Conley Springs. So he's without power, and both of them say there's just it's not like, okay, by Saturday we'll have it back up. There's no indication of when it would be back up. Another video I can link to is our friends, the Holmans, in the area they live in. They've been without power and all that's really damaged, but they were able to put up a video, and I don't know if Matt's seen it or not. I just seen it last night. They had just put it up. I don't think so, but it's shocking, the damage and all that, but shocking that it's kind of from two different vantage points. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, dear friends, but I think it's Daniel maybe leaving high school, getting on the bus, like an emergency situation, and then also the drive home from work for them. So it's just amazing when you look at the water, and already. It just must have happened so fast, is what I'm trying to say. I just can't imagine how fast it happened. Because there's, I think about the local schools here, there's just no way they'd wait to let out school until you were walking across the parking lot in knee-deep water. Yeah. And with a river that you could see going down, they just wouldn't wait that long. I'm sure they wouldn't either. It's just that it happened so fast. So fast. So, bless them. They are okay, and and they've but their area is not. It's just like so many of the. There's lots of people that are not okay, and even the people that are okay, like Papaw and Nana, just the area surrounding them is just like total destruction. Papaw was telling Matt there's like a park in Canton, and if you've been in downtown Canton, you've probably seen it, the little gazebo, about all that. It's just gone. It's just like it was never, there's trash, like Matt said, debris everywhere, but there's just like it was never there. Thinking about that, about the power being off, in the video we shared, which we were thinking the storm was going to be bad here. Turned out it went a little east, and it was, nothing here, no trouble at all whatsoever. But in that video Matt and I shared, we'd also filmed it the week before when we were just preparing and trying to get ready. But we talked about septic tanks and wells, because someone had asked that question if they'd never lived in a place like that. Well, one thing we failed to mention, but a lot of you did in the comments, we wasn't even thinking about, we should have been, about the storm and stuff, is that, of course, with a well, wonderful, me and Matt wouldn't take nothing for it. We prefer to have the well, but if the power goes off, you don't have any water. Now, there are a lot of setups where you can have a manual pump. You can you do both of them at the same time? There are some like that where you could fix it where it's a manual.
Yeah, we have one of those.
We have the one we have, I think, just in case of dire emergencies. If that ever happens, is that we would it's the kind where you take out the pump, wouldn't we?
No.
Or is it?
No.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It's been a long time. I can't remember what that thing looks like. It goes on top of the well head.
Yeah.
But I think you have to take off what's there now and put this on, and then you can hand pump, and it'll just pull the water through the pump and up the pipe.
So if you was in a situation where you was not going to have power probably for months or a year or more or forever, then that was something that you could use.
And we've got what little bit we've been out of power and needing water, we just get it from the creeks or the springs or whatever that's around here close, and we will
Boil it.
We'll pre-filter it and boil it or whatever,
Yeah.
and we've never had to do that very much, but we do have it handy here where we can, because we've never been out of power for a big length of time. I think we were out, whenever that big snowstorm was, we were out a day and a half, couple of days.
At your house, Haywood County, here they were out over a week.
No, this is a different
Oh,
time.
you're talking about a different one. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember. We were about 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 3 days. I
And-
know, which one. I thought you were talking about the blizzard. Yeah.
And I just hauled water from the
Yeah.
creek in 5-gallon buckets, and then we pre-filtered it and boiled it and used it to flush the
Yeah.
toilets and used it to cook with and that sort of thing, and it worked fine.
Right, and then if it is a winter event where there's snow outside, you can just get snow
Mm-hmm.
and do the same thing, if you wanted to. So, especially thinking about flushing the toilets and stuff.
You can get snow, it just takes
Takes more of it.
a
Yeah.
whole lot more of it. And
Takes a lot.
Some people don't understand that it takes a tremendous amount of snow to make a pot of water.
Right, you just have to, it'd be easier most of the
It's
time
just
to
easier
go
to
to
go
the
to the creek.
creek. Since we live so close to it, you go to the creek.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was something y'all mentioned, and I do think they make of course it'd probably be high dollar, but you could probably set your well up, and some of you probably know this, so that it could simultaneously do both,
Yeah.
be into the electric where it would pump into your house, but
Okay.
also where it would just, if you wanted to go out there and pump some water, you could do that the old way. And then about the septic tanks too, is that of course if you can flush the commode the first time. If your power's off though, then it's not going to refill the tank. But in case you probably knew this, but in case you didn't know this, you can just pour water into the tank and then flush it again. Of course, you've got to have that water from the creek or from the snow or whatever. A lot of people here, if something like that's going to happen, they will fill up their bathtubs with water, thinking then they will use that water in the commodes. It may have been that one that you're talking about, some storm. I remember our dear friends Hazel and Francis, they have a swimming pool, so they went out to the pool and got buckets of water and then put it in the commode so the commodes could flush, even though the power was off for that time.
I mean, a lot of people, and we've got that too, or we did have at one time a generator hookup that would run the well and all that stuff. I don't no longer have a generator.
Yeah.
But in a situation where, like out there, generator gas becomes a problem because there's no gas.
Yeah.
So I'm more of the mindset to just go all the way back to the more primitive stuff because it's, to me, it makes more sense. And some people are not able to do that.
Right,
I understand
yeah.
that, but while I am, that's the way I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You can get a big generator set up that like a propane setup or something that it'll run your entire house, but that's very, very, very expensive. And some people do that, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
I'm just not going to go to that expense because we can get by doing it the older ways, and that's fine with us.
And for the main, like Matt was saying before, it's not something we typically have to worry about.
Right.
Of course, this situation makes everybody realize
Right,
you
right.
never know what's going to happen.
And then
So-
the older you get too, I don't know how long I'll be able to carry 5-gallon buckets of water from the
Out the
creek down
hill,
there. That's not
right.
that fun.
Yeah, no.
But
And then of course, the other main reason, a lot of people, the generator, you need it for health reasons and all that, but then you think about your freezers and your refrigerator and all that. So that is devastating loss.
it is.
Thankfully, like Matt said, typically ours might be, even those like that 3 or 4 days, the snow he was talking about when it was off, nothing in them, we were able to save it all. A lot of stuff in the refrigerator we took put in the Forerunner because it was cold outside.
It was so cold, and there was about a foot of snow,
Yeah.
and the snow stayed, and a lot of the food we just took out and
sat
put
in
it
the-
either inside the Forerunner. Some of it I put on the hood and put it down in the snow,
Yeah.
and it stayed
Yeah.
cold.
And then we just didn't open the freezers,
Right.
and they stayed okay. But that's not going to help if you're for an extended period. It's
Right.
eventually going to go bad.
Right.
It's not going to. So I know, talking about our friends, Randy has a generator, so he's been able to keep his freezers and stuff going like that. Ed didn't have a generator, and so he's lost his food, which is sad. Stuff he'd worked hard on putting up from the garden, and it is sad.
Yeah, we've had freezers go bad and lose all that work.
It's
and
like
it's
2 years ago we had one that went bad. Yeah,
and it's
it's
golly, I mean, we could replenish it, but it's the loss of all that time and work that hurts your feelings so bad, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, those are two things we didn't mention about the power. If you lose power, of course, if you have a generator and you run your well or whatever, Papa had a generator, doesn't he? So he would swap it. It wouldn't run his whole house, but he could run the well if they needed water, or then he could run the
hot water heater and that sort of thing.
So, and Sam and Wanda didn't have one, but I think somebody brought them one or something. Didn't I hear Katie say Ken brought them? Little Ken brought them one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it is really encouraging and heartening to see so many people willing to help those in need. From people donating things and donating money to the organizations that are kind of on the ground, and then people, using whether it's their trucks going back and forth hauling stuff, or the people that are using their helicopters. That is really inspiring and heartening. I know lots of people from this area, whether they're like Jeff having to go for work, which he's the kind of person, he'd quit his job to go help somebody if he had to. He's just that kind-hearted.
Fantastic guy.
But like that, or even just the people gathering the supplies, to go, or going to volunteer, all those things.
And then people coming from other locales outside of this storm area that just saw this and just went to buying stuff and throwing it together and coming. That's really,
it's inspiring.
It is.
It's inspiring. You can really see it, see how wonderful it is. Every story that I hear like that. Another thing that's really hindered, talking specifically about East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, is I've mostly thought about and focused on the roads going to people's houses, where like Papa this morning, he could get to where he could almost, but he'd had to walk a mile or a mile and a half and carry all his stuff because of the debris, and he couldn't do that. But are people that maybe they're okay, but they can't get out because there's 3 bridges before they get to the main road, and they're all gone. But another thing that's happened is on the interstate system. So there's a lot of those areas that have just fell away. I mean, they're just gone. So there's certain, like maybe you always went this certain way on 40 to go from Tennessee to North Carolina. You can't do that now. So there's a lot of those situations, and I'm sure they'll work that out, and they'll figure out if the road's stable on the other side, and they'll direct traffic, through one way. But it's just going to take time for them to figure out how to do that. But that's really impeded a lot of stuff, because those main routes of commerce, really, and people just traveling too, but have been compromised, and that's going to take a long time to fix.
Yeah, I think it will take a long time to
figure that out. When the whole interstates just fell into the gorge there.
The whole eastbound side of 40 just fell off into the river, and not only is the road gone, what the road was sitting on was gone.
Right.
It's just not there.
Yeah.
And that'll take a long time to fix.
Figure that out. And I'm sure they'll figure out a way to, like I said, make it not an interstate where we've all been on roads like that, even when they're working on them, where it goes down to 2 lanes and then goes back. They'll figure that out, but it's just going to take time.
Yep.
And, the first important thing, of course, is the lives of the people that are suffering, and those that are still stranded, that still need help. So, again, prayer.
Right.
That's what me and Matt's trying to do. It's what I know lots of people all over the country is trying to do, all over the world. I've had a lot of you from other countries tell me you're praying and trying to assist from the other side of the globe, and that's wonderful, and we really appreciate it. And I know all those people that are suffering, that are really impacted, that they appreciate it too. I guess you're ready to eat, ain't you?
I'm pretty hungry. I ain't eaten since yesterday.
We've got a big bird over there watching us now. You see him? He just flew all the way to the other side. I think it's one of the red-headed woodpeckers.
Yeah, it probably is.
And they move, so you can really see them going through the air. What you gonna eat for dinner? You gonna eat a tomato sandwich? You dwindling down.
I might eat one. I've not had one in a few days, and there's only 2 or 3 tomatoes in there that's I better eat them, I guess.
You better enjoy it. Get the you can.
Get the good out of it, as they say.
Get the good out of it, yeah. Matt and I are always grateful when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, and we're also really grateful for all your prayers and all the donations and all the things that you're doing for the people that are suffering. That's what Ginger said. She said, I know, it makes me, she said, we didn't have nothing. I said, I know. She said, I feel so weird about it. I said, well, I've learned. People have told me you're having survivor's guilt. That's what I have. Mm-hmm. She said, it just makes me feel so bad for him that I don't even want to do anything.
Yeah.
She said, but I have to. I said, I know. She was telling me about somebody in their family that, because it's the same out there, like Ingalls here, you gotta have cash. They can't do the, and that they'd said they never keep cash because so many people don't now, but said thank goodness one of their kids or somebody had recently had a birthday, and some people give them cards with money in it, and that's all the money they had was that. All the cash they had. They've got stuff in the bank.
Yep.
But that was all the cash they had, and they were like, thank goodness, because then that give them money to get gas and to get what they needed.
Right.
Even people here, I've heard say that, like, that shop at Ingalls, like, if I buy groceries for my family, big family, it's $300. I don't have $300 worth of cash.
Right.
And then you think about all those debris, like how Papa couldn't get there. Who will remove that? The state eventually, I guess. You just have big piles on the side of the road.
Well, it'll be, some of it'll be state, some of it'll be volunteers or people who live there close by. I reckon they'll just get, once they get to that, get to where they can get to it, then it'll be just a little bit of both, I guess.
You've seen those videos of I think it was the Tennessean on that channel in Biltmore. There's no talking, it's just them walking up to those, all the places. We've eaten at some of those places, restaurants and stuff, and it's just, piles of stuff inside where the windows are all broke out, and you can look in there and it's just everything's falling out of the ceiling. There's just debris, but just against their awnings in the front of their store or their restaurant, just 20-foot high piles of stuff, of just trash, of wood and trash and limbs and trees, cars. And it's just like every restaurant's like that. Everyone he shows, it's just, you're just like, how? Where did that stuff come from? And the U-Haul place, it's just, just unbelievable. And think about all the times you drove by those places or eating those restaurants.
Right.
What was that pizza place right by the U-Haul place your mama used to like? What was the name of that?
Moe's.
Yeah, well, they showed the Moe's restaurant, and it's like that, but this was like a little pizzeria thing. I can't remember the name of it. It was good, though. But, yeah.
They're really, really hard on the economy out there, too, for
be.
some time to come.
And it already was on the, Canton was already struggling because of the mill. It's like that guy this morning when you had the Weather Channel on, he's in Tennessee, and it had affected his, that home, his home that had been in their family for generations, that one. He said it was so overwhelming that he couldn't begin to figure out, and then one of his friends comes that he helped me see. I just have to do so sad, do the first bucket of mud, the first stick you pick up.
Yep.
And then, if you've got friends, they come and help you, and they can do more buckets of mud, and then eventually you can begin to see that maybe there's something, you're making progress.
Right.
Well, come on. I'll fix you a tomato sandwich. I'm going to see if my watermelon's any good. I got a little watermelon.